Welcome back, everybody, to another Maniac Getting Smoked in the Courtroom episode of Lockdown 23 and 1. Just got done putting up the old Christmas stuff. Anybody else do it this early? And check this out. I know if y'all might be freaked out by this. I know we're going into the courtroom, so I thought I'd show a little bit of elegance before we step in. Brittany found a mirror from a grandmother that said that no one's used this mirror in over 70 years. It's been in her attic, is what she said. So Brittany bought it. This is it. It's kind of creepy. What do y'all think? Exotic, I know. I might donate it to a courtroom. Yes, I will, Brittany. I'll send it first class to Texas. Honorable Judge Boyd. Oh, and another thing. I hate to just bypass the courtroom and what we're speaking about today, but y'all know what that is? It's my wisdom tooth. Got this puppy yanked yesterday. Feel like I got punched in the jaw. But that don't stop us from going into the courtroom, like I said, to witness a maniac get smoked to the penitentiary. Smoke, for anybody that doesn't know, on this channel means a lot of time in prison. Before we get into the courtroom, though, I'm going to break down the situation on why the defendant's in there to begin with. You ain't going to believe it. So let's get right into it. If you're new to the channel and enjoy all things lockup and crime related, then this is absolutely where you need to be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my beautifully assorted playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today. Alright, today we're going to be traveling down to a Cuyahoga County courtroom in Ohio to speak on Bianca Ellis. Ellis is accused of randomly attacking Julian and his mother, Margaret Wood, on June 3rd, 2024 outside a Giant Eagle in North Olmsted. It says, during the trial before Common Pleas Judge John Russo, attorneys on both sides acknowledged that Ellis had suffered from schizophrenia, a severe mental illness that can include delusions and hallucinations, for more than 10 years. Following her arrest, she required months of treatment at a state hospital to restore her mental competency so she could stand trial. Ellis's attorney, Fernando Mack and Carlos Johnson, said she acknowledged that she was responsible for Julian's murder. However, they attempted to prove at trial that the mental illness prevented her from knowing the wrongfulness of her actions at the time of the crime. County prosecutors, on the other hand, attempted to prove that Ellis's behavior showed that she knew her actions were wrong. A few days before the incident, she had been released from custody on a minor violation. Ellis believed authorities did not return her money. On June 3rd, minutes before the attack, she visited the North Olmsted police station in an unsuccessful attempt to collect the money, according to testimony. Afterward, according to the security video, Ellis shoplifted 2 knives from a nearby thrift store before making her way to the Giant Eagle. So that right there proves that she was kind of planning the situation out a little bit. She ain't too crazy to plan and plot things, right? Keep in mind, she's probably super rageful that she didn't get her money from the police officers. So that could be a motive in itself, you know, mixed with mental illness. And like I said, she stole 2 knives from the thrift store before making her way to the Giant Eagle. Video further showed Ellis inside the supermarket for about a minute, holding a large knife in plain view, before she spotted Julian and Margaret Wood and followed them into the parking lot. That poor lady had no idea what was coming her way, just shopping for groceries with her 3-year-old child. As Margaret Wood went to unlock the trunk of her car, according to her testimony, Ellis stabbed Julian, her son, 3 years old, in the face. Wood said she was then stabbed in the shoulder before Ellis stabbed Julian a second time in the back. This lady deserves more than smoke. I don't think Ohio had a death penalty, but if I were to guess, if she was in Florida, she would have been on a one-way trip ticket to death row. It continues saying, we know that Bianca Ellis was not medicated on June 3rd. Jillian Patillo, an assistant county prosecutor, told jurors in closing, we believe she was very angry and that motivated her to commit these crimes. And I completely agree with that as well. She got mad at someone and decided to take it out on a little 3-year-old child and their mother after getting some groceries, man. Absolutely unbelievable. My condolences once again goes out to the family members' very tragic situation. But let's move forward, ladies and gentlemen, into the courtroom and witness what the judge has in store for this monster.
When reviewing the sentencing factors as outlined under 29-29-11 and 29-29-12, my job as a judge here is to punish the offender, but also to make sure that the sentence should be proportionate and not demeaning to the seriousness of the offender's conduct and the impact on the victims, and consistent with other sentences with similar crimes. In looking at the seriousness, of course, the child's age and the suffering weigh heavily for this court as well. And so with respect to my sentencing, after taking in consideration all the matters before the court that are appropriate under the principles and purposes of sentencing, the court's going to impose the following sentence.
Here we
Starting
go.
with count 2, as found guilty on count 2 of murder, it's a life with parole eligibility at 15 years. On count 3, the murder charge under the B section, it's life with parole eligibility at 15 years. And those are the maximum sentences that could be handed down on those 2 counts. On count 4, with respect to the Reagan-Toke sentencing guidelines, count 4 and count 8 are both felonies of the second-degree felonious assault. We also speak to count 5, which was the endangering children as a felony of the second degree. And then we speak to count 7 and 6. The state and I have agreed that I will move forward with count 7. Under count 7, under the Reagan-Toke sentencing guidelines on the attempted murder in count 7, the court's going to hand down the maximum sentence of 11 years as the minimum sentence to the indefinite sentence of 16 and a half years. Again, I've outlined the Reagan-Toke guidelines and the reporting requirements for post-release control that will be controlling on all other felonies of the second and first degree, this being the highest level. I've outlined the 5 provisions, as I noted for the record already. And then with respect to the count 4 and 8, the maximum sentence is 8 years. I'll hand down that sentence. Count 5, 8 years. Count 6, 11 years. Count 8, 8 years. And then, as indicted, count 10, which would be a 6-month sentence on the misdemeanor charge.
All right, so first and foremost, she got 2 life sentences with the possibility of parole of just 15 years. She's only, in her 30s, so chances are she's definitely going to make it to that parole board. Will they release her on the first go-round? Chances are not, but still, she has an opportunity. And with the 10 years of her living with these mental disorders, man, she could very well be out in the next 15. But this is the key. She's getting sentenced to multiple crimes, different sets of years, followed after the 2 life sentences. The question is, are they going to run it consecutive or concurrent? If it's consecutive, then that means she's got to do the 2 life sentences, then all these years back to back to back to back. Once one's finished, she starts the other. If that's the case, then if I were to guess, she ain't never going to be seen in the streets again.
Regarding aggravated murder and finding the defendant guilty of aggravated murder by this jury, the court's going to hand down a sentence of life without parole.
Oh, there we go.
I'll run every other sentence concurrent to life without parole. Ms. Ellis, you'll be given credit to 509 days.
That's smoke, my friends.
I'll order you in the custody of the sheriff to transport you to Marysville Correctional Facility.
Smell it, ma'am.
I'll also indicate that fines, fees, and court costs will be waived.
Smell it.
With respect to this sentence. In addition to the verdict that has been handed down by this jury and the sentence that the court handed down, Ms. Ellis, you have a right to appeal both the sentence and the conviction in this case. You can do that by filing a notice of appeal with the clerk of courts within 30 days of this sentence. If you're unable to pay for the cost of an appeal, you have the right to appeal without payment of costs.
Oh, that's
If you're
apparent, man.
unable
My
to obtain
condolences.
counsel for an appeal,
Very
I'll
sad.
counsel to represent you.
Heartbreaking.
If you're unable to pay the cost of documents necessary, they are provided to you without cost. You have a right to a notice of appeal filed timely.
My heart goes out to
behalf.
them, man.
And Ms. Ellis
Really
will counsel
does.
you wish to appeal both the
So
sentence
sad.
and the conviction handed down in this case.
Yes, Your Honor, no objection for the record and appointment.
Tap in once more, Bobby. She deserves
I'll
it.
note your objection regarding my sentence, and knowing that she's unable to afford counsel, I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent her with respect to her appeal. Again, noting for the record, all counts will be run concurrent to each other, with the life without parole being count 1 sentence. I'll waive all fines, fees, and court costs, give her credit for the 509 days that she served, in addition to time while she awaits her transportation to Marysville Correctional Facility for Women.
Well, the honorable judge definitely had me on the edge of my seat with this one. The way that he brought up the 2 life sentences with the possibility of parole first, but saved that big life sentence without for the very end. Haha, playing with my heartstrings, sir. But he didn't run them consecutive. He ran them all concurrent. It doesn't matter, though, because they're all bunched in underneath the life without parole. can't escape that one, you know. Of course, there's some kind of loophole or something later on down the road in an appeal. Other than that, she'll be sitting in that metal rack for the rest of her life. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. And, you know, there ain't too much to learn from this one because no one's really expecting someone to run up from behind them and stab them after they're just shopping for groceries. Nobody's expecting that. But you know what? These days, unfortunately, you have to. Keep that head on a swivel. It doesn't matter if you have any enemies or not. Anything could come your way, as you can see from this story today. Very sad. You know, I didn't show no image of the child that lost his life, but you know, sometimes by photos you can tell that those kids are good kids. And he definitely gave me that vibe, man. My heart goes out once again to the family. Until the next time, though, stay tuned. I got plenty more content coming your way. In the meantime, as always, if you're new and enjoy, hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave. And more importantly than anything, y'all be easy, be safe, and stay free.